your question is good.
Yeah.
But so far we are still, thinking.
You have to take malware into account, viruses, worms.
Everything can be hacked, even Pentagon can be hacked.
There is one country in Europe where they really talk about privacy. That's here in Germany. Germans take privacy very, very seriously. So what about privacy on PMR networks? What about privacy on critical infrastructure? Because if we talk about privacy, it's not about privacy, it's also about security. Security first, privacy second, something like that. Airbus Defence and Space Secure Land Communications issued a press release about the fact that they follow the NIST directive. That's the European directive about security for critical infrastructure, actually on PMR networks. I also wonder about the smaller companies. How do they treat privacy and security on their networks? One of the good things of today is that the weather changed dramatically. It's really beautiful. It's a 100% change if we compare it to the weather last night. It was raining, cats and dogs. It's a beautiful sunny day here in Cologne. It's the end of November and it's getting colder. It's getting much colder. In order to enter the exhibition, I need to sign this document. To get registered takes a while, but it's always better than that large queue over there. So I'm a lucky guy today. Speaking about security, this is the booth of Airbus Defence and Space, just over there. I just wonder if Alexander Koderman is ready for an interview on cybersecurity. And he is. Alexander, hi there, how are you, sir?
Hi, I'm good, thank you. How are you?
So, cybersecurity, NIS directive.
Yeah.
That's kind of interesting.
Yeah, so,
because you published a press release, is it?
Yes, I mean, basically we were forced to because, our clients are hit by new regulations such as the NIS directive or even the General Data Protection regulation in the EU. Because, well, we're providing mission critical radio. So of course most of our clients are running some sort of national critical infrastructure. So we have energy providers, we have public transport and so on. And basically this new directive will affect all of these sectors, industry sectors in the whole of Europe, as well as Switzerland and the UK, which have published similar legislation. Right now Germany is really ahead of all of the other European countries, which means that here in Germany as a manufacturer we were affected by the new requirements at first. Like even when you're looking at the whole of Airbus, it really started here in Germany. So this is why maybe we're a little bit ahead as far as the services that we provide are. So it used to be that basically when a client was buying a PMR system, he was intending to run it for, let's say, the next 30 years with minimal change. Right?
Yeah, because I've never heard about security on the old PMR networks.
Yeah, it was
never a topic.
No, it was.
But it was never IP related so much, was it?
Yeah, it was always never touch a running system. But of course, these systems were pretty much isolated. So these days, when you're taking a look at it, even when you have a traditional Tetra system, most of the time it will be connected to an IP network, at least for some management access. And with new hybrid approaches, and IP-based transmission of speech and data, it's becoming even more of an issue. So these days you have to treat PMR systems like you do IT systems for the most part, which means you have to take active external attackers into attack. You have to take malware into account. You have to take malware into account, viruses, worms. You cannot buy security. You have to make security continuously. So this is why we have a new service. It's called Tactilon Cybersecurity.
That's the one over there?
Right. And it will become part of your existing service contract, basically. And what we're going to do is we will provide, for the most part, a constant monitoring and evaluation of the vulnerabilities that are being published by security researchers in all of the third-party software that we are using in our products. So this means, of course, our application, it means the libraries that we're using, it means the operating system, and it can even go down to the firmware of the hardware where there's a vulnerability.
This gentleman next to me is Andreas Gegenfortner from BDBOS. He's the CEO of BDBOS, and BDBOS is the German Tetra network, which is the largest network in the world. Now, you would say the largest network in the world should be definitely protected against cybercrime, is it?
Yes, it is. It's really necessary. Cybercrime is all around the world, and it's a big issue for us in the future. We have now not really the problem because Tetra is a completely, let me say, closed system today. So our platforms are really secure, and speech is end-to-end encrypted. But in the future, when we'll move to the next step, to go over IP to the LTE world, so we'll find this problem, and it's really an issue. But we work on that.
Yeah, but you say it's not a problem right now, it's going to be a problem in the issue, but you think by that time when you're adopting LTE, there are already being solutions developed that help you to protect your network?
Yes, we started already the development for that, because we know achieving LTE or achieving broadband in any way. I don't care about is it named 4G or 5G, doesn't matter. So broadband in any way, we have to have a solution for that situation. And we develop it, and I think it will be finished by the end of next year.
I've just been talking to these guys from Tapese Networks, and it's kind of interesting. They offer a 4G LTE solution for critical communications, for public safety and utilities, but also for public transport. They use the existing solutions that are available on the market today. I'm not sure if that is enough to make sure that your network will stay secure.
Security is still a good topic about this, and it's always one of the main concerns of our customer. In every type of technology that you are proposing, even if it is analog, DMR, Tetra, one of the first things that the customer is asking, am I really secure using it? So this is one of the main questions.
Is that one of the reasons why you're not offering yet LTE, because you're looking into the security of LTE?
We are still studying it, that's why. We are still seeing the evolution of the protocol, of the process, because we really wanted to try to approach this at best. We are also looking at what the big players are doing in this sense, and we are trying to find the right positioning for our product.
The funny thing is, when you start to talk about security in all of these companies, there is so much difference in the way they approach security. One company says, you know, it's not really a matter at this point in time, it's just too early, it's way too early. But the larger companies like Motorola and Airbus Defence and Space are really looking into the matter very much specifically according to, as I said, the NIS standard, which is very important. I'm not sure of all of these companies who are not really looking into that, if they understand if it's really applicable to them. These gentlemen from Slovakia, right?
Yes.
They're having a Tetra network and they're going to renew the network for Tetra again. What do you think about the security on LTE networks?
It's a question mark. It's a big question mark, I think.
Yeah, it's because, you know, everything can be hacked.
Yeah.
That's what I learned at this show.
Yeah.
But and definitely more LTE, more 4G makes networks vulnerable.
Yeah.
You agree with that?
Yes, of course.
Because the legislation is so, the security legislation is so strict in in Austria, and that is also in Finland. So it's really a challenge to build user-friendly applications on mobile applications.
There could be hackers hacking into your device, could be hackers hacking into the network. Definitely, LTE is a blessing, but LTE is also a threat. I wonder what kind of companies here at PMRExpo have thought about securing these kind of devices or their radios with LTE integrated on hacking. If there is somebody within Hytera who understands security, it's definitely Hauke Holm. He's the CTO of Hytera Mobielfunk. You just released the migration radio, which is a great radio. It looks very nice. It has Android embedded in it. That works on LTE. Is that not the weakest link to your communications for future policing, for example?
Of course, this is a thing where we need to consider what we can do on cybersecurity, and we do already a lot on that. One example is that it's completely closed now, so the user has no control about applications, things like that. This is remotely controlled during your MDM. So the MDM, so the administrator of the network or the devices, is controlling the security by installing the applications. So there's no user link to that. So there's no Play Store, for example, on our devices where you can have the weak spots or where we can introduce bad applications, let's say that way, which are affecting your cybersecurity.
So you have DMR LTE device, so it can roam between the networks. That's what I understand. So, but how secure are your devices? You know, if we talk about cybersecurity, how secure is the device itself?
Yeah, just to be honestly, so far, this is the very beginning of this project. So just to be honest, we do not have a clear answer for this question. Your question is good.
Yeah.
But so far we are still, thinking and finding out the better solutions for the security, higher security.
Okay, so we're too early stage at the moment, and you're still trying to find out what you need to do to secure your devices.
Yeah, I think it's now so far it's earlier to answer this question.
What about hacking? How secure is your network?
Okay, basically what we do here, we have AES encryption, and our protocol are protected by our customized software. So we also detect IMEI number, login password, etc., etc. So that's the most we can do. And the other side, they can hack through the data center. So our data center are putting at the grade 1 type of data center. So they have their own protection as well. But anyway, I mean, everything can be hacked. Even Pentagon can be hacked. So what we can do is that we want to secure as much as possible at our end to ensure the safety of the data for the customers.
What is the weakest link on a mission critical network if it's based on LTE? You probably have an answer on that.
Yeah, I would think that the weakest link would be the infrastructure that the whole system is relying on. So in the application side, we do whatever is possible, whatever is available to us developers to make sure that it's secure. And it's just one point of the whole ecosystem. But the infrastructure is something that is widest point area of the whole network, and with many touch points to the different systems. And if it's not secure, then the whole system can be compromised.
De-encrypt our data.
Okay.
So before transmit, we encrypt the data.
So that's a clear message actually. Kirsten relies on the encryption of data and the encryption of the network and the radios. Not really extra security. I just wonder if that is just enough. If in Denmark, if there's something really bad happens, all of the networks are being shut down?
Could be shut down. The police has the possibility to say that the public networks should be shut down so they would not be attacked by a bomb or triggered by, you can say, a network or something like that.
So that means even if the police itself uses devices on those networks, they will be shut down as well?
They could probably be shut down as well, yes.
Public safety industry needs to make sure with the big operators to secure a piece of the pie of that network.
Otherwise, it would be shut down of security reasons, as normal users would be shut down. I think so.
At JVC Kenwood, that I'm here right now, I speak to, that's a difficult name, but I speak to Tetsuya Abukaba, if I pronounce it right. So this time, yes. Tetsuya, about security. You know, we had a short discussion about that. When somebody purchases your network, your DMR network, your trunking network, so can they rely on security and not being breached by hackers or whatever?
Yeah, you can say so because our network protocol using MB+2, and if you are using AES encryption, your communication is protected, so secure, I think.
So you don't have the problem with LTE because you don't have any developments going on in LTE, right?
We are still developing, studying the LTE system, so yeah, we will focus on the security on if you use LTE.
Okay, so when you are launching LTE in the future, will you take a close look at security?
Yeah, we will, but so far not so sure when we can produce LTE products. So now we are studying it.
So for now, that means that JVC Kenwood is still relying on the technology they're selling for many, many years, very successfully in the market. LTE is the future for this company. Security, definitely part of that. It's very important that the devices that you are selling, which is handsets, for example, and headsets, are still communicating and is not being compromised by anything. How does that work for these devices?
So if we look, for example, at the Bluetooth connectivity, we can handle it with, let's say, our reduced power systems on the Bluetooth set. You cannot compromise it. Only you're in a closed area, 1, 2, 3 meters, which you might know in the critical communications about it. In other areas, the wired headsets are okay. So it's very hard to compromise such things. Yeah, the critical comms is mainly in the Bluetooth area, where you're looking at which is the major things to take care of. Like you have maybe heard of the Blueborn, which is currently in the media, in the social media as well, which is fairly on Android systems, mostly running the Android systems. We are not working with an Android system. We have our own microcontroller-based software systems in our Bluetooth controllers, for example. So it's mainly our own system or architecture. So how to compromise an architecture which you don't know?
From the TCCA point of view, it's kind of interesting to understand how they look at security on future broadband networks. Tero Pessonen can tell me a little bit more about that. Tero, you're from the TCCA, you're chairman of the CCBG broadband group. Although this is not only a broadband topic, it's also security. You have a security group as well. But can you elaborate a little bit more on the security of the future networks like LTE, for example?
Well, broadband security is obviously paramount. It's one of the cornerstones for critical communication. Therefore, we have the Security and Fraud Prevention Working Group working on these topics and actually working very closely with ETSI, TC, TCCE, the security group there, and with that link with 3GPP. So it's absolutely magnificently in the core of our working.
And it's very important?
Absolutely, yes.
No network without security, right?
Well, security is obviously a layered thing. You need to have the network security, you need to have the application security, the process security, and all those. And in the end of the day, we need to look at all of those in TCCA. That we can't avoid it, and we don't want to.